Thank you very much indeed. Good evening. We would like to thank you for all the letters you've sent us again this week, and 1 or 2 pairs of handcuffs, and for watching us when there are so many other marvellous entertainments.
Mr. Mowbray recommends a new film he saw advertised in the Bognor Regis Observer, The King and You.
If you prefer home entertainment, you will like the instructions Mr. Crimmins, who lives in Cheshire, found on an earplug. Reach behind your head and grasp the back of your left ear with thumb and index finger. Pull the ear straight out from your head.
What an eero. Sarah and Mariah Toll wrote to us about a general knowledge quiz they had at Halsey Road School in Hemel Hempstead. When asked, what is Esperanto, an enthusiastic first-year boy answered, she's the lady who introduces that...
You can think yourself lucky, Esper. You'd think no one would have any trouble with a name like Smith, but Mr. R. Smith from Birmingham sent us 2 envelopes. He was sent by the same company. The first was addressed Mr. R. Smith, and the second was addressed Mr. R. Smith.
No answer to that. You may have read this week a slight controversy occurred about one of our street interviews. We thought you might like to see what really happened. It all began when a viewer wrote to us and said that, given the world shortage of protein, has anyone thought of introducing into this country a French delicacy, bat soup? And they kindly enclosed some bats. We took these to the Queen Elizabeth College of Nutrition, and there Dr. Derek Miller said that they'd been smoked. It seems that smoking bat doesn't carry a government health warning. And they actually said this was very good for you. So we made a nice bat soup and went out onto the streets with it, breaking it gently to people exactly what the soup was made of.
Oh, yes, it's nice. Bit gamey.
What would you say it was made of?
Well, I don't know. It tastes gamey to me, like game.
You mean like a pheasant?
Pheasant, yes, something of that.
Well, it is a bit like that. It is not quite so many feathers, more furry.
More furry.
Yes.
Not a rabbit.
No, it flies.
Flies. Well, what flies? It's furry. That.
You're right.
Gosh.
Give me a clue. I know you give me 2. What's another one?
It comes out in the night and squeaks. Shall I show you?
Go on then. A bat, eh? Make it a little bit hotter next time.
What would you say?
Rabbit?
Kind of like rabbit, but flies.
Oh, goodness, don't take me a bat.
Have you eaten bat before?
No, I haven't.
Would you recommend it to the viewers?
It's very nice.
What
is it?
Monkey.
It's a bat. It's a bat.
Oh, I don't like it. A monkey.
Is it a bat?
It's an excellent source of protein, bats.
You've eaten bat before, sir?
Oh, yes, in the States, yes.
I have
Rare delicacy.
stumbled over the only person in the whole of London that's ever eaten a bat before.
Yeah, we used to use bats. Yeah. In the country, we make a dish out of bats when we can catch them, right?
You do?
Oh, yes.
And you recommend it?
Oh, they're very good, very good.
And what special powers are there in bats?
In bats, it's a brain food.
What do you make out of it?
Just cook the meat. Skin the meat off and cook it, over a campfire at
What,
night.
like a bat chop?
Yeah, that would be something.
Or a bat steak?
Yeah, like tidbits of bat.
It's a bat.
Very nice.
And you don't mind that it's made of bat?
No, it hasn't changed a bit since the last time I tried it.
And when was that?
Oh, about 7 years ago. So thank God they're still maintaining the standard. No, it's still very good.
What do you think?
Ooh, too much veg in it.
Pure bat
Yeah.
taste.
No, not the bat.
That's made of bat, what you've just eaten.
Oh, you dirty monkey.
Well, apart from that lady, it did seem, as you saw, that everyone really likes bat stew. Everyone except one gentleman, P.C. Herbert, who arrived while we were handing out the soup, as you will see.
No soup.
you're
Can
right.
I have some more?
Yes, please. What's in it?
Can you move on, please?
Yes, certainly. Excuse me.
Sir, would you like a little bat?
No. Move up. Move up there. You're blocking it.
See that young man there? Would you like a bat, sir?
honestly.
Can you move back? You're blocking all the pavement.
He seemed very jolly, and I thought he was talking to the crowd, so I kept going. But 10 minutes later, P.C. Herbert came back. We have here a French
You must be joking, man.
I must tell you once more to move. If you don't move, I shall arrest you for willful obstruction. That's the end of that. You're blocking the pavement.
But we've filmed here every week.
I don't
for the
care whether
last
you've
8
filmed
years.
here for the last 10 years. If you don't move, I shall arrest you for willful obstruction.
Madam, will you come with me and we'll try a little stew down here?
That's it.
So we did move, first into a side street and then across the road onto a wide corner. But half an hour later, P.C. Herbert came back again.
You're arrested there. Sorry.
I've just been arrested for handing out bat stew. You just film that bit of pavement there, which is not obstructive. Because people were moving
you can't
there.
stay here blocking the complete pavement as you're on it.
Where would you like it? All right, where shall we go?
Call the police station. Will they call for it?
Right.
Block, frankly. Just that you can't block this pavement.
But we aren't blocking this pavement. But we aren't, really we aren't.
Yes, sure.
How can we be blocking? Because people stand because they're interested.
Well, I've arrested you for willful obstruction, and that's it. I mean, what you say when you get into the station.
All right.
I'm afraid I'm in support of Miss Rantzen.
Oh, good.
And if anybody would say I wasn't obstructing, could you tell? Thank you so much. Could you tell that I wasn't obstructing, or at least you were in the back? Of course, I did everything wrong. I wasn't supposed to get in the front of the Black Maria. And the other thing I didn't know was that I'd broken this, which is the Highways Act. It says,
If a person without lawful authority or excuse in any way willfully obstructs the free passage along a highway, he shall be guilty of an offence.
and so shall she. And it really doesn't matter if there's plenty of room for other people to get past, because even one person standing still on the pavement can be guilty of obstructing the bit of pavement he's on. Well, the moment that happened to me, other people wrote to us saying it had also happened to them. Andy Hudson wrote to us. He said,
I went to a Frank Sinatra concert at the Albert Hall, but a friend of mine didn't turn up, so I had a spare ticket. A man in the queue saw me with it and said he'd like to buy it, but a policeman tapped me on the shoulder and said, move on, you're causing an obstruction. I thought he must mean I was blocking one of the doors, so I stepped to one side and said, sorry. A couple of minutes later, he came back and said, I warned you, you're under arrest. He took me to the police station, put me in a cell, and I was left there for about an hour. I had tickets for a load of friends who all missed the concert because I was arrested, and my wife was worried because she had no idea where I was.
when they let him out, Mr. Hudson went back to the Albert Hall and spoke to the manager, and that's when he discovered why it had happened. He told us,
The manager said he'd asked the police to get rid of the ticket touts, and touting isn't against the law, so all they can get them under is the law of obstruction.
and in fact I found the same thing was going on when I went to the magistrates' court, because there were 5 other obstruction cases heard before me, but all of them were gentlemen who'd been selling ties and watches in the street. They all pleaded guilty and got fined £5. So in a way it's like paying VAT for them. You know what I'm going to say, don't you? I pleaded not guilty, got fined £15, and I suppose that was bat. You mustn't encourage me. Anyway, they aren't the only ones who get moved on or arrested.
When I was in Bond Street conducting interviews about slug soup, we saw a young couple kissing in the street. A policeman ignored us and moved them on.
And street entertainers get moved on or arrested. That's why there are hardly any buskers in London now, because they're always getting nicked. The experts at being nicked are the road stars. This is some rather old film of their act, which used to be a very well-known sight in London. Lovely movers, aren't they? They even bill themselves the road stars direct from London's West End streets and police calls. And they've got themselves in the Guinness Book of Records for being arrested for obstruction the most often. Harry Hollis, one of the road stars, told us.
We got nicked more than 500 times. We were the third generation of buskers. I started at 15 with my old man. Sometimes we get nicked 2 or 3 times a night. There was one particular copper we used to call Isaiah, because one eye was higher than the other. One night we saw him coming for us as usual, so we scarpered round the corner to a pub. He followed us and waited outside. I tied a white hanky to a stick and stuck it out of the door and waved it as a sign of surrender. We walked out and he nicked us.
And as you may have seen in the papers, Father Christmas in the street has been done. Even vegetables have been done. Mr. Peter Pook, who runs a greengrocer shop in Basingstoke, told us,
I put my broccoli and Brussels sprouts out in front of the shop, and the police warned me that that was obstruction.
the odd thing is that some people don't get moved on or arrested. Harriet Harman, legal officer of the National Council for Civil Liberties, told us,
Some people don't get arrested. Poppy sellers, for example. The police approve of them and they let them get on with it. It is up to the policeman to decide if he thinks someone's got a good reason to be there. The law ought to be much more precise and not so chancy.
and the problem seems to be that obstruction's such a vague offence. After all, if it was rigidly applied, we could never film in the street, so we would never have met Annie, and no one would ever queue in the street or watch the changing of the guards, as one lawyer told us.
The law at the moment gives so much discretion to the police and the courts. In a way, we've got a police free-for-all when it comes to obstruction. If a very fat man bends down to tie his shoelace, he could be arrested for obstruction. If you'll forgive me for saying so, it's usually people they don't approve of who get arrested.
Well, it does seem rather an odd law, and it has inspired 2 buskers to come along and play for us here. They are the Cambridge Buskers. They've been arrested for playing in the streets in this country, but they're extremely popular in Germany, where they are allowed to busk with no problems. So here they are now, in the safety of the studio, to play us one of their favourite pieces. Ladies and gentlemen, the Cambridge Buskers. Accompanied by Chris Serle.
If you go down to the street today, you better keep on the move. It's lovely down in the street today, but magistrates don't approve. Don't hand out that or sing very loud, for if you do, you'll gather a crowd, and that's the way the fellas in blue will nick you. Nick, time for boys and girls. The naughty boys and girls are going to have to learn to jog. Buskers, Santas, keep the rules, and courty couples stand still to snog. Tie your shoelace on the run, you'll find it's rather fun and good for the lungs and chest. And if you're tired, you've got to keep walking, for if you once sit down, the cops will join you to have a rest. And if you're tired, you've got to keep walking, for if you once sit down, the cops will join you to have a rest.
Well, that was really lovely, and it does seem a pity that Cyril isn't interrupting me like he's supposed to.
Esther,
Thank you, Cyril.
knock, knock.
Who's there?
Irish stew.
Irish stew who?
Irish stew in the name of the law.
I can see why you didn't interrupt me now.
Yes, I waited for you because it said Esther ad lib. I would like to thank everyone for another extraordinary selection of people whose names exactly fit their job.